One of the things I try to encourage people to do in this day and age is to avail themselves of reading the great Christian classics. If you are a Christian and want to mine the ore from the great treasury of the faith, read the works of Luther, read the works of Augustine, read the works of Edwards, but above all, read Calvin's Institutes. It's required readings for my students in the seminary, and usually what I do is I make them begin by reading his chapter on prayer.
In principle, Dr. Sproul's advice here is very sound. Get to know those respected Christian leaders of centuries ago. Learn what they believed. Learn about the doctrinal battles they fought. Learn what they stood for. Because all too often, Protestants and evangelicals are infected with a kind of historical amnesia. They don't know the past. They don't know church history. They don't think it's that important to pay homage to the rich historicity and tradition of the Christian faith. So Dr. Sproul's advice to avail yourself to reading influential Christian theologians of the past is, I think, good advice. But did you catch which theologians Dr. Sproul recommends you check out? Augustine, Luther, Edwards, Calvin. Like many Christians, I'm sure they had some good things to say, but all were predestinarians. All embraced unconditional election. All were determinists. Now, perhaps Dr. Sproul was intending to be brief, so he couldn't list all the prior theologians that he thinks are worthy of reading. Maybe. But it is extremely telling which theologians are at the top of his list. Conspicuously missing is the recommendation to read any of the anti-Nicene church fathers. The church fathers who lived prior to Augustine, prior to the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Church fathers who obviously were in close proximity in time to the actual apostles, sometimes only one or two generations removed from an apostle. Men like Irenaeus, Justin Martyr, Tertullian, Hippolytus, men who didn't need to go to seminary to learn Koine Greek, men who were intimately acquainted with the cultural and historical context wherein the scripture was originally written. Friends, there's a reason why Reformed Calvinists and unconditional electionists rarely direct or encourage others to read the writings of the earliest church fathers of the faith. It's because the early church fathers utterly contradict, utterly undermine, utterly oppose what we today know of as Calvinism. Now, I say this with confidence and with the facts to back it up. There is not one single early church father that Calvinists can point to that taught even one of the 5 points of Calvinism, one of the points of Tulip. Not one. Now, sometimes brave Calvinists will read into the early church fathers' statements which they think support 2 or 3 points of Calvinism. Notably, renowned Presbyterian minister and scholar Michael Horton has tried. But their attempts end up as, frankly, embarrassing examples of grasping at straws. You see, if you read the early church fathers in their entirety, follow their train of thought in context, you won't find one clear statement that supports one of the 5 points of Calvinism. This is startling, but it is absolutely true. You see, like Sproul, I would also encourage others to mine the wisdom and knowledge of the ancients of the faith, those who have gone before us. But I would also encourage folks to get as far back to the beginning and source of the apostles' teaching as they can, which means taking a real serious look at the writings of the anti-Nicene church fathers, those church fathers who lived prior to the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Because we're much more likely to find the true apostolic faith, the faith once for all delivered to the saints, if we get back to the early witnesses to the apostles' teaching. Thank you for watching.